which I've often wondered, how did those people survive? How did the earliest people survive?
Right.
If you get caught or you got a headache or something,
you just go to the hospital.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
You just go to the hospital.
You just show them your insurance card, and that'll take care of it.
Right.
But if they're getting insight, if they're connected with angels and they've got insight about the plants, this plant is good for your headache. This will,
Yes.
They're getting help through life. And so there's revelation that's coming down into understanding of nature and also dreams about the afterlife and so on.
Well, and what I love about so initially the Word of God was encoded into the human body, into nature, and into our understanding of it, and into dreams. It was originally that communication with God worked like you think it should work. It's weird to say, well, God made me, He loves the human race, we need to connect. Here's a book with weird stories in it from thousands of years ago. Why is it like that? Why would you do it like that? And the answer is, it started just how you would think. The entire world all around you go out and you see a tree and you see a mountain and you see a bird, and those teach you things about who God is. Angels and God you'd hear from heaven, you would experience it. Everything was like it should be. And those forms that allowed the lower mind to open to that's what the Word of God was then.
You'd see your ancestors who would pass on, and they would tell you things and so on.
Tuck in your shirt.
That's right. Right. And be sure to keep up your medical insurance because you might need it at the hospital and things like that. And that's right. Then over time, the human race was pulling away. Swedenborg says this is encoded in the Genesis, in the creation story, that the human race, the leaving of the Garden of Eden was like people wanted, well, I don't like this sort of God's in my dreams and walking with me through the fields, and I want my own life.
Share with your siblings.
To try to reach into that state, then you started to have writing, language changed and developed. You had more verbal language rather than just a language of thoughts and facial expressions. And then to try to reach the human race, then there's this divine communication through written text. Swedenborg says that there were written texts that precede these. Yeah. He says there are a couple, it's intriguing that he says there's a couple of quotes in there that are from that earlier book. And you see mentions here and there of the book of Jasher and other things that, there were sacred texts before this that aren't around anymore.
The ancient word. So this is version 2. So this is written version 2. There was version 1. Why does there need to be one of these at all?
It's to try to connect the human race with the other world. I think the way that it's supposed to work, basically one of Swedenborg's big things that he witnessed and experienced in the other world was that angels and spirits in the afterlife are what I would call ex-people, that they're just your ancestor. There's nobody else up there. There's not a separately created race of angels.
Yes.
That's sort of a mistaken impression. And so since those are people there, it was a way to be able to communicate with those folks and with us and to connect us with them. The way it was originally supposed to work was we were supposed to be the connection point ourselves.
Yeah.
And maybe you'd have certain people in the tribe or the family or something who were like shamans or somebody like that, a holy person or somebody who knew that connection. But as that system started to fail, you needed kind of a written shaman. This is like a book of a whole bunch of prophets and people who had that connection. And let's just get it in writing, and then it's down there and everybody can see it, have access to it.
It still performs that function of connecting heaven and earth. And the stakes are pretty high on that. Because if that connection is severed, it wouldn't be that bad, but everybody would die.
Yes.
Like that'd be the end of the human race.
Mostly at the hands of each other. Yes, right. That's right. People would kill each other. Yeah, but other than that, it wouldn't be so bad.
This thing has to be there. You talked about how it's vertical and there's all these layers in it. The spiritual world, which is what most people would call the afterlife, and the physical world, that's like the skin and the muscles and the bones in the body. Like those things have to go together, or else the whole thing dies. He talks about it like a foundation of a house versus the upper stories. This system has to be intact, so there has to be a word that allows for this. And it was in the first form. Then we got to the ancient word. People again got selfish and materialistic, destroyed that, started to take the knowledge from that ancient word and use it to gain power over each other. They ruined it.
Right.
And so then there had to be this new word, which we would call the Old Testament.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. And then and the Old Testament was written in a way, part of Swedenborg's point of view of it is that it's almost like three-dimensional chess, or one of those things where it's multi-layered. Yeah. And the most important thing in the Bible is not making sense. Like, making sense is kind of secondary to another function to connect these worlds together that are drifting apart pretty drastically.
Yeah.
And to keep things connected, so that when our minds are in the book in the right condition, we're thinking with angels and we're able to connect, because they're also reading some form of this book. I know these are all wild ideas, but when you see what it does with this verse, I think maybe you'll see that there's some merit to it, you know.